My ex-husband thought he could humiliate me by inviting me to his wedding until my arrival left him utterly frozen. Hello everyone. Thank you for joining me today. Before we go into this incredible story, please hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments where you're watching from. Your support means everything. Now, let's get into it. My name is Nia Thompson, and I'm 35 years old. 3 years ago, if you had told me I'd be where I am today, I would have laughed through my tears. Back then, I was drowning in the wreckage of a 9-year marriage that ended with a text message. Yes, a text message. My husband, Marcus Davidson, a real estate developer who prided himself on his communication skills, couldn't even give me the courtesy of a face-to-face conversation. The message was brutal. Nia, let's be honest, you're stuck in the same place you were when we met. I need someone who moves at my pace. Her name is Simone. I've already moved out. My attorney will be in touch. I remember staring at those words in the parking lot of the dance studio where I taught African dance classes to teenagers. My body was still warm from leading a class. I'd been in the middle of teaching the girls a new routine. The phone slipped from my fingers and hit the ground. Looking back, that moment of impact was the beginning of everything. Marcus had always made me feel like I wasn't enough. He'd tolerated my dance classes with a dismissive wave, calling it my little side hustle, while he closed 6-figure property deals. I spent my evenings in the studio, drilling choreography, teaching kids who couldn't afford expensive lessons, running a small YouTube channel that barely paid for costumes. He never outright mocked me, but his indifference cut deeper than words. Simone Richards, his new woman, was everything I wasn't. A luxury real estate agent at his company, former college athlete, drove a Range Rover, and had that corporate polish that comes from never questioning your worth. She posted property tours on Instagram and attended yacht parties. I posted dance tutorials and attended community fundraisers. The divorce was quick and cruel. Marcus's lawyer made sure of that. I got the leased studio space and my beat-up Nissan. He got our townhouse, the investment portfolio, and apparently, my confidence. For months, I could barely function. I'd practice in the studio until 3 in the morning, running the same 8 counts over and over until my knees ached and sweat pooled on the floor. But here's what Marcus didn't understand about dance. It teaches you resilience. It teaches you that when you fall, you get back up, you reset, and you hit that move again harder. You don't quit. You adjust your timing, your energy, your intention, and you create something powerful. My best friend, Keisha, a physical therapist with zero tolerance for excuses, showed up at my studio one night 7 months after the divorce. She found me sitting against the mirror wall, staring at my reflection with dead eyes. "Nia, get your behind up," she said, turning off my music. "You're going to hate me for the next month, but then you're going to hug me." She dragged me to a Brazilian jiu-jitsu gym. I'd never done martial arts in my life. The idea of fighting, even in training, terrified me. But Keisha had a philosophy. You need to learn how to fight for yourself physically before you can fight for yourself in life. You need to remember you're a warrior. She was right. Those first few weeks, I got submitted within seconds. I tapped out constantly. I wanted to quit every single session, but gradually, something awakened. Each technique I learned, each sparring session I survived, I felt my spine straightening. Dance had taught me discipline. Jiu-jitsu taught me I was stronger than I believed. If you're enjoying this story so far, please take a moment to like this video and share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Trust me, it gets even better. Now, back to the story. Around the same time, I took a major risk. A local event coordinator, Jamal, had been following my YouTube channel for months. He reached out about choreographing a performance for a major cultural festival downtown. The pay was more than I'd made in 6 months of teaching. I said yes before fear could talk me out of it. That project led to another. Then another. Within a year, I wasn't just teaching kids in a cramped studio. I was choreographing for music videos, corporate events, and cultural celebrations. My YouTube channel exploded when I started posting behind-the-scenes content from these gigs. Suddenly, I had sponsorships, brand deals, and opportunities I'd never dreamed of. I also started competing in jiu-jitsu tournaments. The first one, I lost every match. The second, I won one. By my third tournament, I placed in my division. Each medal wasn't just medal and ribbon. It was proof that I could fight back, that I could win. The physical transformation was impossible to ignore. Between dancing 8 hours a day and training jiu-jitsu 4 times a week, my body became something I barely recognized. Lean muscle replaced softness. My posture changed. I moved through the world differently, with a confidence that radiated from my core. But the biggest change was internal. I stopped caring what Marcus thought. I stopped measuring my worth by his standards. I built a life that was mine, filled with people who celebrated me, not tolerated me. That's when I met Darius Williams. I was at a fitness expo demonstrating some dance conditioning techniques when this tall, fine brother in a tailored suit approached my booth. Darius was a sports medicine doctor who specialized in working with professional dancers and athletes. He'd seen my videos and wanted to discuss injury prevention techniques for my students. We grabbed coffee after the expo. That coffee turned into dinner. That dinner turned into months of late-night conversations, weekend trips, and a connection I didn't know was possible. Darius didn't just love me. He saw me. He showed up to my performances, learned basic jiu-jitsu moves to understand my training, and never once made me feel like my passions were beneath him. 6 months into dating, he proposed at my dance studio after one of my classes. The kids went wild. Keisha cried. And I said yes to a future I'd built myself, with a man who wanted to be part of it, not control it. Life was beautiful. I rarely thought about Marcus anymore. He was a closed chapter, a lesson learned, a version of myself I'd outgrown. Until the envelope arrived. It came on a Tuesday afternoon, wedged between bills and junk mail. Cream cardstock, expensive weight. I recognized Marcus's handwriting immediately. That distinctive slant he'd always been so proud of. My stomach tightened, but I opened it anyway. You are cordially invited to celebrate the union of Marcus Davidson and Simone Richards. The date was 2 months away. The venue, a luxury resort in the mountains, the kind of place Marcus always said we'd visit but never did. There was a handwritten note at the bottom. Thought you might want to see how the other half lives. No hard feelings. I read it 3 times, waiting for anger to hit. It didn't come. Instead, I felt something cooler, sharper, amusement mixed with purpose. Marcus wanted me there as a prop, a reminder of his upgrade, proof that he'd moved on to bigger and better things. He wanted me to show up small, struggling, defeated. I called Darius. He was between appointments but picked up immediately. What's wrong, baby? Nothing's wrong, I said, a smile creeping across my face. But I need to ask you something. How do you feel about attending my ex-husband's wedding? There was a pause, then a low laugh. Oh, this is going to be good. What are you thinking? We spent that evening at my apartment, strategizing over takeout. Darius had that same calm confidence I'd fallen in love with. He didn't get jealous or insecure. He just wanted to support whatever I needed. We're not going there to cause drama, I said, thinking out loud. We're going to walk in, let them see who I've become, and walk out. That's it. Darius grinned. So basically, we're going to show up looking like we own the place, remind your ex what he fumbled, and leave them to their mediocre life. Exactly. The next weekend, we went shopping. Darius found a charcoal gray suit that made him look like he'd stepped off a GQ cover. For me, I found a dress that stopped my breath. Deep emerald green, fitted at the waist, with a flowing skirt that moved like water when I walked. The neckline was elegant, daring but classy. When I stepped out of the fitting room, even the saleswoman gasped. "That's the one," Darius said simply. In the weeks leading up to the wedding, I didn't obsess over it. I taught my classes, trained at the gym, choreographed a new piece for a music video, and planned my engagement party with Darius. But every so often, I'd glance at the calendar and feel that spark of anticipation. Keisha called me the week before. "Girl, you better film this entrance." I'm not even there and I can already feel the energy shift. I laughed. "No cameras. This moment is for me." The night before the wedding, Darius took me to our favorite rooftop restaurant. The city stretched out below us, glittering and alive. He held my hand across the table, his thumb tracing circles on my palm. "You nervous?" he asked. I shook my head. "Not even a little. I just want to walk in, make my point, and walk back into my real life." He leaned closer. "Then that's exactly what we'll do." The morning of the wedding, I woke up feeling electric. The dress hung on my closet door, the fabric catching morning light. Darius's suit hung beside it. In a few hours, we'd be walking into Marcus's carefully constructed world. He had no idea we were about to shift the entire atmosphere. The drive to the mountain resort felt like the opening scene of a movie. Darius had arranged for a Mercedes S-Class, sleek black with tinted windows, the kind of car that makes people stop and stare. We didn't rush. We had all the time in the world. Inside the car, everything was quiet but charged. My dress pooled around me in a wave of emerald silk. Darius looked at me like I was the only person in the universe. "Ready?" he asked, though he already knew. I smiled, calm and certain. More than ready. The resort came into view like something from a magazine spread. Manicured gardens, valet service, guests in designer outfits milling about. Marcus had spared no expense. We pulled up to the entrance just as a group of guests stepped out of a regular sedan. Their conversation stopped when they saw our car. One woman whispered to her friend, her eyes wide. I kept my gaze forward, my breathing steady. I wasn't nervous. I was focused. The valet opened Darius's door first. He stepped out, buttoning his jacket with easy confidence. Then came around to my side. Through the tinted window, I could see people turning, phones already rising to capture whatever was about to happen. Darius opened my door and offered his hand. I took it and stepped out into the mountain air. The emerald dress caught the afternoon light, shimmering like liquid gemstones. My locks were styled in an elegant updo, a few tendrils framing my face. My makeup was flawless. I looked exactly like what I was, a woman who'd rebuilt herself from the ground up. The air shifted. Conversations paused mid-sentence. Someone dropped their champagne flute on the stone pathway. I didn't need to look around to know every eye was on us. Darius and I walked toward the entrance with measured, unhurried steps. My heels clicked against the stone in perfect rhythm. People weren't just staring anymore. They were pulling out phones, whispering urgently to each other, craning their necks for a better view. At the entrance, a coordinator with a tablet looked up and froze. Her professional smile flickered into confusion, then recognition. "Welcome," she managed, her voice uncertain. "Thank you," Darius said smoothly. "We're here for the Davidson-Richards wedding." Something flickered across her face. She glanced down at her tablet, back up at us, then quickly stepped aside. "Of course. Right this way." The reception hall was stunning. Crystal chandeliers, white roses everywhere, tables draped in champagne linens. Guests mingled near a bar that stretched the length of one wall. Simone stood near the center, greeting people in a fitted white gown, her smile bright and practiced. Then she saw us. Her smile didn't drop immediately. It took a moment, like a computer processing information it didn't expect. Her eyes went to me, then to Darius, then back to me. The smile held, but something behind her eyes shifted. Marcus was at the bar, laughing with a colleague. He turned to see what had caused the sudden silence spreading through the room, and his face went blank. The glass in his hand stopped halfway to his mouth. He blinked. Once, twice, as if we might be a mirage that would disappear if he looked hard enough. We didn't stop. Darius and I moved through the crowd as people stepped aside instinctively. The emerald dress flowed around me like I was moving through water. Every step was intentional, not for show, but for me. This was my moment. When we reached the edge of the dance floor, Darius's voice carried across the now quiet room. "Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dr. Darius Williams, and this is my fiancé, Nia Thompson." The word fiancé landed like thunder. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Someone in the back said, "Wait, Nia Thompson? The choreographer?" Another voice, "That's her? From those viral dance videos?" Marcus's jaw clenched. His hand tightened around his glass. Simone's practiced smile cracked at the edges. Darius continued, completely at ease. "We're actually flying to Ghana next month for our engagement ceremony, but when we received Marcus's gracious invitation, we couldn't miss the opportunity to congratulate them in person. It was perfect. Polite, warm, impossible to object to without looking petty. But everyone in that room heard what wasn't said. This wasn't just a visit. This was a declaration. I didn't speak. I didn't need to. My presence, my dress, the way Darius looked at me like I was the most valuable thing in the room, it all said everything that needed to be said. Simone finally stepped forward, her voice tight. "Nia." "How?" "Unexpected. You look well." I met her eyes evenly. "Thank you, Simone. Congratulations on your wedding. Everything looks beautiful." She blinked, searching my face for sarcasm and finding none. I meant it. It did look beautiful. I just didn't care anymore. Marcus set his glass down and walked over, forcing a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Nia, this is surprising. Life is full of surprises," I said lightly. "Congratulations, Marcus." For a moment, the room held its breath. Then, someone coughed, and conversations slowly resumed. But they weren't talking about the wedding anymore. They were talking about us. We stayed just long enough. Darius ordered us champagne, and we stood together, greeting a few people who approached with genuine warmth. One woman, a former colleague of Marcus's, pulled me aside. "Nia, I follow your channel. Your choreography is incredible. My daughter wants to be a dancer because of you." I thanked her, genuinely touched. This was my life now. Impacting people, creating art, building something meaningful. Marcus's approval, or lack thereof, didn't factor into it at all. Before we get to what happened next, if you're loving this story, please subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next video. Drop a comment below telling me what you would have done in Nia's position. Now, let's see how this ends. The longer we stayed, the more Marcus's composure unraveled. His smiles became forced. His laughter, too loud. I caught him watching us several times, his expression unreadable. Simone, for her part, kept glancing over, her earlier confidence replaced with something sharper, more defensive. At one point, I excused myself to the restroom. When I came back, I overheard two women talking near the hallway. "Did you see her? That's his ex-wife?" "Girl." "Yes." "And that man with her? Dr. Williams? He works with professional athletes." I looked him up. "They're both doing amazing. Marcus must be dying inside. He thought she'd show up looking rough." I didn't interrupt. I just smiled to myself and returned to Darius. When we finished our champagne, Darius looked at me with that unspoken question. "Ready?" I nodded. We walked toward the exit with the same measured pace we'd entered with. People stepped aside again, their whispers following us. At the door, Darius turned and offered a polite nod to Marcus and Simone. "Thank you for having us. Wishing you both all the best." Marcus's jaw was so tight I thought it might crack. He managed a strained, "Thanks for coming." As we stepped outside, the mountain air wrapped around us cool and clean. The Mercedes was waiting, the driver holding the door. Before I got in, I glanced back through the glass doors. Marcus stood frozen where we'd left him, staring at nothing. Simone was at his side, speaking rapidly, her smile completely gone. She looked angry. I slid into the car, the door closing with a satisfying click. Darius joined me, and as we pulled away, he reached for my hand. "You were magnificent," he said. I exhaled, feeling lighter than I had in years. No, we were. We didn't need to look back. That wedding had been theirs on paper. But for those few charged minutes, the room had belonged to us. We weren't even 20 minutes down the road when my phone started buzzing. I glanced at the screen. "Marcus." I didn't answer. Then a text came through. "Marcus. Nia. We need to talk." I almost laughed. After 3 years of silence, now he wanted to talk. I let the message sit unread. By the time we reached our loft downtown, 3 more messages had arrived. "Marcus. I shouldn't have invited you like that. That was wrong. Marcus. You didn't have to show up like that. It was disrespectful. Disrespectful." The word hung in the air. This from the man who'd ended our marriage via text and invited me to his wedding to humiliate me. I showed Darius the messages. He shook his head, smiling. He's unraveling. That night, as we sat on our balcony watching the city lights, another message came through. This one was longer. "Marcus. Seeing you today made me realize I made a mistake. You're not the woman I left. If there's any chance we could talk, just once, I'd like to explain. I think I let go of something real." I read it twice, then deleted the entire thread. Because here's what Marcus still didn't understand. His regret wasn't about love. It was about ego. It was about realizing he'd underestimated me, and now I was thriving without him. That's not love. That's control dressed up as nostalgia. I leaned against Darius, who wrapped his arms around me. "Ghana next month?" he asked, smiling. "Ghana," I confirmed. "And after that, wherever we want." I didn't need revenge. I didn't even need closure. I'd won the moment I stepped out of that car, head high, with a man who loved every part of me and a life I'd built with my own hands. Some battles aren't fought with anger or confrontation. Some are won with grace. A dress that makes you feel invincible, a partner who stands beside you, and the quiet knowledge that you've outgrown a life you thought you couldn't survive without. Marcus would have to live with that image forever. The day his wedding stopped being about him and became the moment he realized I was never his to diminish. He was just a chapter in my story, and I'd already moved on to better pages. Life has a funny way of coming full circle. The people who thought they buried you will one day have to watch you bloom. My advice? Don't waste energy proving yourself to someone who chose to walk away. Pour that energy into becoming the most authentic, powerful version of yourself. Success, self-respect, and genuine love speak louder than any revenge ever could. So, if your ex invited you to their wedding, what would you do? Would you ignore it? Go and make a scene? Or show up looking like their biggest regret come to life? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this story, because somewhere out there, a Marcus is planning a wedding, and a Nia is planning her entrance. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for the next video. Until then, remember, your comeback is always stronger than your setback. Peace and blessings.